So last night, Nintendo finally released some new details on their upcoming paid online service. Still coming in September, so no more delays, at least it sounds like there won't be any more delays. And I'm actually pretty pleased with what I learned for the most part. So let's start with what I don't like. The app. It's here to stay, at least for now. Now I know it's actually kind of cool for the added functionality with games like Splatoon. I know I've seen a lot of you guys talk about how you like the added features it gives you with some of these games. And if you're down with that, it's fine. But I really don't like the voice chat and that running through this thing. People will, as always, be like, oh, just use Discord or Skype. If you want to use that stuff, if you prefer it, great. Awesome for you. But it doesn't fix my problem because you're still not running everything through the Switch. I want less devices required to get my full online experience, not more. Every other system offers voice chat through the system itself. The DS had voice chat. Okay, the Switch can do it. And I'm still hopeful. I'm not totally giving up yet that we may still get it one day. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's talk good stuff. Cloud saves. When it comes to requested online features, this is probably number one, and it makes a lot of sense when you think about the design of the Switch. Being portable, if there is any system you own that you're going to risk accidentally breaking or losing, it's the Switch. And up until this point, if something happens to your system, your saves, they're gone. But once the system drops, that's going to be a worry of the past. Now, yes, it's going to be annoying for some that don't have any interest in the other online features beyond cloud saves, that you still got to pay for the full service. And I get where those of you are coming from, but as a package, I do think this service does have adequate value. It's worth confirming once again that it will be $20 per year, which is about a third of the cost of Nintendo's competitors. There are also plans if you want to pay monthly or quarterly, if you want to do that for some reason. However, and this is something I do want to stress, there will be a family option at launch. For $35 a year, a Nintendo account holder can invite up to 7 others to join a family group, in which all members will have access to the online service. This is going to be very key going forward. Obviously, Nintendo wants this to be a 3DS type system eventually, where everyone ends up owning like 20 of them before you know it. And down the line, as we see the system getting discounted, better bundles start getting offered, and perhaps we even see a cheaper model. I mean, again, thinking long term, I wouldn't be surprised if we got a 2DS sort of deal. You know, something smaller yet more sturdy that is designed to withstand heavy abuse from little kids. So in the years to come, there will surely be plenty of houses that end up with multiple of these systems. And this is going to make it very easy for families to have everyone getting full access to all these services for still much less than a single subscription from the competitors. And I don't want to get on too much of a tangent, but you guys know how much I like to talk about sales and that. This type of stuff is going to be really key once we get the next generation of Xbox and PlayStations. Yeah, right now the base versions have been out a long time. They're cheap, but we'll probably have at least one next-gen system by 2020, I'd say, and the Switch is going to be competing with those platforms as well. But by that time, the Switch systems will be much cheaper, and obviously the new systems, your PS5, your Xbox 2, whatever they're going to call it, are going to be charging the premium prices. And if you're someone with kids and you see that you can buy multiple Switches all with online subscriptions for less than one of the other systems with a single online subscription, that's going to be a very enticing offer. And let's also talk about these NES games that come included with the subscription. At launch, the service will include 20 NES titles, and we got to look at 10, I believe, of those first 20 with this announcement. Really good lineup, if you ask me. Similar to what we saw with the NES Classic, they're not, sticking us with shovelware. And they've said they plan to add more games regularly. No Super Nintendo games, though, at least for now. I think they still may be deciding how they're going to do a lot of the rest of the retro stuff. Like I said in that last video, talking about the possibilities for the Virtual Console, they could also include it here. I could even see it being a tier system. Like, perhaps this whole service launches and yeah, there's just the NES games that come included. But perhaps down the line, there's an SNES tier, where for an extra, say, $5 a year, you get access to a similar library of Super Nintendo games, and so on with the other systems. Again, like I said in that last video, they have a lot of options on how they can distribute this retro stuff, and they're going to want to do it in a way that, makes sense for the consumer, but also maximizes their profits. But I think either way, getting this initial batch of 20 NES games included with the service, it's a good start. Now, interestingly enough, they also say online play will be added to, quote, every classic game, which sure enough has led to some discussion as to how, if at all, this would apply to traditionally single-player games. Going the more simple routes, they could add some, old-school trade-off on deaths sort of multiplayer. They could add leaderboards to single-player games, but they could get a bit crazy if they wanted to. I could even see something in the vein of the NES Remix games. Remember those? Where they could design original challenges and mini-games set in these games with a multiplayer focus. Another area where there are a lot of possibilities. Also, I don't know if this is just worded weird, but they also mention here you can share your screen or pass the controller. I'm assuming this is in regards to playing online games, in that both players can probably screen share to see what the other player does. Again, perhaps in those situations where one person is playing at a time. But I've seen some suggest this could mean a new sort of multiplayer where you're screen sharing while playing the single player in these games. Perhaps basically you're playing The Legend of Zelda, let's say, together via online. Both of you have your own switches, so you're each watching the screen, but you have the option to kind of hand off the controls to the other person. That's totally possible, and I think it'd be pretty cool. So yeah, I think so far so good in terms of what they're including with this online service. Obviously the price is great. However, let's not lose sight. The main point is playing games, the new games, online. If we're expected to pay for the online, we should be able to expect that these games will play better online. Given that the service launches in September, Smash Brothers will probably be the first big test of that. If that game launches and runs like garbage, as is common with the online in that series, then we're going to have a problem. So yeah, I think the offerings sound good on paper, but Nintendo better be prepared to impress us with a solid online experience come September. And with that, this video is a wrap. Let me know your thoughts on these updates for Nintendo's paid online service in the comments. As always, I'm John Zakari, and thanks for watching.